All right, everybody, this will be another quick one here. This is a warning to all politicians. I'm running for president in 2024, and this will be part 34. This I'm going to talk about snitches get stitches and some of the mindset going on in America. So you take the snitches get stitches ideology, not even ideology, attitude, mindset out of the prisons, and it gets into these communities, whether they're Hispanic or African American or white in some places, because there are white gangs and stuff. But you take that mentality out and you get in the community. Now you see it going from in that community just between criminals and, well, they use it as an intimidation to other people in the community not to call the police and stuff. And so now you see with the shooting of George Floyd, the clerk who called the cops, the snitch, received death threats. The owner, who's been in that community for a long time, is probably going to have to move his business or something. I have no doubt. You know, they kind of protected it a little bit from being burned down because they didn't want the bad publicity at the time or something. So, but eventually he'll probably be forced out, or just due to vandalism or whatever, be forced out, just for their own safety. So now we have the shooting in Atlanta. African American's drunk, passes out in his car in the drive-thru at Wendy's. They call the police. He fights with the police, takes a taser, runs off, and then as he's running, for some reason, he turns around and points the taser at the officer. And I forget if it's that officer or the other officer shoots him. Or maybe they both did. I don't know. Anyhow, so par for the course, the news media only puts out there unarmed, shot, only show part of the video. They don't show the scuffle and all that at first. And so now you got more stuff going on. They rioted, they blocked the interstate, and then they burned the Wendy's down. Why? Because snitches get stitches. And then you put some guy on TV, they have one of the demonstrators on TV talking about that's their brother and his life is worth more than corporate America, and this and that ain't what it's about. That is snitches get stitches. You call the police, we're gonna get you. That's what the message they're sending. Don't believe the crap they've been taught to say to the cameras, because this is all about intimidation. Now, granted, maybe some of them people there don't know the full story, and you know, it was the same thing during Rodney King. You didn't see the whole video. Same thing about all the violence that happened after the trial. A lot of that was covered up, and you know, a lot of things the news media does. Ferguson, you know, you didn't get the whole story there. They wanted it to seem like, you know, another cop just looking to shoot somebody, an African American. This here, the police were fired immediately, and then the chief steps down. So you're now looking at police officers being fired for political reasons instead of legitimate reasons. And if you go on to Officer Tatum, he explains the guidelines and everything for when an officer can use his weapon, and that these cops did not violate anything, that they were justified. Now, some people argue, oh, well, they could have let him run away or whatever and stuff like that. I'm sorry, that's not their duty, is not to let somebody run away who just got in a fight with them, took their taser. Their duty is to protect the rest of the community. And if you ask me, anyone who gets in a fight with a cop and all this and everything, either they got something else to hide, or and can be a danger to the community. You know, and what is the thinking in America that you can get in a fight with a cop, point something at him, a weapon at him, and either not get roughed up, or shot or something. What is the mentality that says the police have to let everybody have free shots on them and put their lives into jeopardy? Who's teaching people this mentality? And if you put that out there with the snitches get stitches and stuff, they are wanting to be able to do whatever the hell they want to do with no ramifications. They want people to live in fear and intimidation that if you call the police, or if the police act and we resist and something happens, or that we're going to resist all the time and we're going to defend criminals and stuff, this is no good. This is absolutely no good for this society. And then you have politicians who won't back the police. You also have the political intimidation going on, where if you wore a MAGA hat, you could be surrounded by a bunch of people, intimidated, in some cases attacked. Didn't see anybody attacking people who had pins on or shirts on for Obama. Didn't see any of that. And you have all these, and the news agencies, here's what I think. Video of anything like that, or any crime, any police being arresting somebody, or people resisting the police and stuff, if you're going to show video, that's evidence. That is evidence in that case, and if you tamper with it and don't show the whole thing, you should be held accountable for tampering with evidence. That's what I think. That is tampering with evidence. If the police do anything to alter their body cams, or not show everything on their body cams, they have penalties for that. They can be in serious trouble for that. I think it should be the same thing for the news media, not showing the evidence that would weigh in the officer's favor. How about that? How about that, instead of all these bullshit games going on that nobody wants to say what is right or wrong? They just want to appease and pander for votes. You want to talk about equality and all, everybody playing by the same rules? We're going to play by the same rules. Just like you go to your sports games, everybody playing that game knows the rule. You should know now, but the rule that if you're out there committing crime or something and the police come and you resist, something bad can happen to you. And that they have rights also to protect themselves and to protect the rest of the community. They do not know you. They do not know what you are capable of. You just got in a fight with them. You turn in and you're going to fire a taser, which could incapacitate the officer. You could come up and kill that officer. You could take his weapon and kill him, kill the other officer. They have a right to stop whatever's going on. They are duly sworn to protect the community and uphold the law. And the guidelines and the laws about them using deadly force are very clear. What happened in Atlanta with this guy does not even come close to what happened in Minneapolis. And we didn't see the whole video there, because he did struggle when they first get out of the car. Then you see him up against the building. He's just sitting there. Then they walk him down like they're going to put him in the car. And then you don't see anything. The next thing you see is him on the ground. What happened in that space there? Where's that video? I'm not saying it would justify him dying, but let's quit playing games out there, and the word games and this and the things to cover up, and try and make it. Well, we're the peaceful protesters. That's them people over there. When you have people inciting them to do that, and so-called parts of the peaceful protests making statements about, like, well, if that's what has to happen, that's what has to happen, etc. You're not doing anything to denounce it. These politicians aren't doing anything to denounce or to apprehend these people. You got that crap going on up in Seattle. Those cowards up there are too afraid to go in there and clear them out. What is happening to our society, and why is the news media and the politicians seemingly hand in hand with all this, encouraging it, and not even more than that, complicit in it. You know, it's just amazing that, you know, if that guy in Atlanta was a white guy, passed out in his car, and he got in a fight with the cops like that, and then ran off and turned and pointed the taser at the officer, and he gets shot, to me it's like a no-brainer. Am I just not getting this? To me, it's a no-brainer. You know, I wouldn't be shedding tears for this guy. I'd be like, you dumbass. You know, I wouldn't be looking for the cops to get fired. But check out Officer Tatum on the rules of engagement, so to speak, and if the cops were within their bounds to use their weapons. And he says they were. And he also talks about that Aubrey case. Now, in that, I kind of think, you know, they already called the police. They should have let the police handle it, just like I believe in the Trayvon Martin. They already called the police. They should have let the cops handle that. But even saying that, you know, both those situations could have went bad, even if the cops handled them. So there's a point where you got to say, you know, people are responsible for their own actions. And if you're out doing stuff that requires the police to come, and then the interaction you have with them is one of confrontation and violence coming from you towards them, what are they supposed to do? If you're innocent, you're innocent. Why get all, you know, answer their questions, comply with their orders, stuff, you know, why escalate the situation? We always hear about, oh, the police we shouldn't let them escalate the situation. What about the criminals and the people they're trying to figure out what the hell they're doing? You know, and you got these other videos on YouTube about, you know, well, a cop stopped a black guy in a rich neighborhood or something like this, and, you know, they make a big deal out of that. Oh, they can't believe a black guy could be rich and live in that neighborhood. Oh, and all this and everything. Look around the world. Look around the whole world. If the biggest thing you have to complain about is an officer asking you what you're doing somewhere or asking for ID, then you've got a good life. If that's all you can complain about in life is a cop asked you what you're doing there or asked you for your ID, you got nothing to cry about if you look around the world. Let's quit playing games with all this shit. Because everything that's going on is not bringing us closer together. There are people out there doing things to divide us even more. And they're in the news media. They are the politicians. They are the criminal elements of this country. They're not looking for solutions, like changing the names of the army bases. What's that going to do? Now, I don't give a damn one way or the other. It's like the statues in the South. To me, you know, they're just characters from history. I don't see what the big deal was. And toppling them over and stuff, that doesn't change racism. That does not change racism or do anything to improve relations with, you know, the white community or police or anything like that. It's nothing. And that's like changing these base names. What's that going to do? Nothing. So we're going to have serious dialogue. We should have serious dialogue. And that's like I bring up Chappelle's show skit about, you know, the white kid goes to the black dorm in college and the things that happened to him there. That was racist as hell. If you'd show that skit, the same exact skit, just change the characters, you know, all the African American characters white and all the and the white kid black, and same exact script and everything, there'd be all kinds of hell raised about it and how racist it is. You look at Knoxville 5 and other crimes like that, where if it had been turned around and white people perpetrating those crimes, you would hear nothing about it was a hate crime and this and that and everything. You know, I'll give you, you know, I think I told you before about, when I was taking the bus. I was in the bus. I don't know. Maybe I didn't put this on there. Anyways, on a Greyhound to go back to work after I hurt my arm, and back to the company, and had a layover in Dallas. So it's like midnight in the Dallas Greyhound bus terminal. So we're all lining up for the bus, and I'm the only white person there. There was one African-American girl standing in front of me with a kid that, might have been all of 2 at the most, and the baby was sick. A couple guys in front of her, and then about 5 or 6 guys behind me, all African-American. And this girl was, super fine. She was like Vivica Fox in her prime. So the guy in front of her, even though she's trying to deal with this sick baby, he's laying on his spiel, and you could see in the look in her face she wasn't interested at all. Traveling by Greyhound's bad enough, and you got to deal with some jerk trying to hit on you. You're holding a sick kid and all that. So anyway, she put the kid down. The kid wouldn't be held. She held the kid, and she put the kid down, or she hold him. He'd want to get down. So she was quite frustrated. I don't know how long her trip was. I'm sure she was quite tired and everything. So at one point, she picked the kid up, and the kid wouldn't stop crying and stuff. She smacked the kid in the face and said, "Shut the F up, you mother, you know what?" And I was like dumbfounded. Did I just see that happen? She's standing right in front of me. And then she told the kid some other stuff and everything. So the kid was crying and stuff. And, I was going to offer, do you want me to hold the kid? But, with all the molestation shit and stuff that was going on at the time and in the news and stuff, here I am, a middle-aged white guy asking to hold, a black baby and stuff, all these black guys around. I'm not sure how it's going to go down, or she's going to tell me to mind my fucking business, and then one of these guys is going to want to, step up like he's going to protect her or something, and then we have a free-for-all in there over it. So I just started talking to the kid about, hey, you're going to ride that big bus and this and that, and he kind of quieted down for a little bit, and then he wanted to be held again. She picked him up, and same thing happened. She smacked him in the face, called him a mother, you know what, and I about came out of my skin. And it's like, man, I can't handle that. I can't handle that. I got to do or say something. So it was pretty tense. I was about to say something, and luckily then the security guard, which was an older African-American woman, walked around the corner. And she could see on the look on my face, like, hey, you might want to come over here. And so I told her, I said, hey, she's got a sick baby and this and that. Is there any way she can board or oh no, any way we can get her to sit down and all that and not let her lose her place in line? And so she let her go and board the bus. So, and then in Walmart one time when I was home, I'm just bringing this up to bring up, if you're white in America, the attitude is such that we can't even interact because we're, going to be called racist, or we're going to, have to deal somehow, some way with people who want to be violent at the drop of a hat. It's not that I was afraid. It's like, man, I don't want to, am I really, because if she would have done it again, I would have said something. I wouldn't have cared what would have happened after. But I was at Walmart when I was home, and there was like 3 black dudes in front of me, and 2 of them paid for their stuff, and then the other guy was waiting, and it was an older white lady who was a cashier. So the last guy through didn't have enough money, so he's telling his buddies, hey, N, give me $2.50 or whatever the hell it was. And they'd be like, no, N, pay for your own effing, stuff and all this and everything. And so start listening to this. It was making me uncomfortable. It was making the cashier uncomfortable. So I was on the verge of saying to him, hey guys, you're not on the street corner. Or I know your mothers didn't teach you to talk that way. But I'm just thinking, and I say something, they're going to say something. I'm not the type of person that backs down. And then what's going to happen? So we need to talk a lot about behavior in general. about things that go on that we can't even interact together. I was on the same thing. I was on light rail with my son when he was young one time. We're going to the Diamondbacks game. 2 kids get on. One's white, one's black. The black guy's trying to impress the white kid with, oh, we went out with these bees and this and that and all this stuff, and his mouth is running. And I'm thinking, you know, I should tell this kid he ought to watch his language. You know, he's in public. But I knew he would have smarted off. And then what? Then what? Confrontation, something happens. You know, somebody gets hurt. And, you know, and maybe I'm accused of being a racist or something. So we need to have these types of conversations. We need to be honest about them. You know, you can't, from the African American community, you can't make all your arguments and all this and everything. And when white people say, yeah, well, what about this or that? And you just blow it all off. Well, you're just being racist. You just don't like what we're saying, so you're saying all this stuff. No, it's something in our society. And for those of you who think it's all right because you're African American to use the N-word, you should read the Quran sometime. Because it says human beings should not call each other by wicked nicknames. You understand? It's not just a racial thing. It's a human thing. You understand that? It's a human thing. And you shouldn't call other African Americans Uncle Toms and all this other stuff either. It's not just wrong when it's between races. It's wrong altogether for humanity to use terms to demean each other and stuff. So anyhow, I'll leave that there, and I will get to the rebuilding America and my ideas on that. And, you know, and the idea for, you know, why can't we build a city and do some of the big building projects like you see in the Gulf states and in China and stuff, because we could sure do them better and make it work. And then also the environmental stuff, which I'm going to call cow farts, because I think it's hysterical that they've actually paid people in universities to go out and study cow flatulence and see what effect it has on the environment. So who knows? Maybe that's why the reason why the dinosaurs went extinct. You know, they all had bad flatulence, and that caused the ice age or something. So, anyhow, we're going to go over those things, and hopefully we can all have rational, reasonable discussions, and we can cut through the crap that we're being handed by the news media and these people who are trying to justify the actions of criminals. And, you know, I don't see many people trying to justify the actions of that cop in Minnesota, you know. But when a police officer does act within his rights and according to the law, he shouldn't be being fired for political reasons or because, you know, too much heat and this and that to make him look like he's guilty of something. They respond, like I said before, they responded to a call. They didn't ask for that situation. Those 2 officers in Atlanta did not ask for that situation. They responded to a call. He escalated it. Do you understand that? He escalated it. We hear all the time, don't escalate the situation. We don't want the police escalating the situation. We don't want Donald Trump escalating the situation. That man escalated the situation. Why can't you be rational human beings and look at that and admit that? You know, and it's like the things with welfare and everything else and what's going on now. Imagine you're an alien, you come down and you're looking down here at all this stuff here going on. Or what, people work their asses off and everything, and then they take money and they give it to these other people who do nothing but sit around, get high and eat Twinkies and stuff. Well, we can't have contact with these people. They practice slavery. That's what it is, ain't it? Not like slavery that we've had, but it is a form of slavery. If you're going to make people out here work their asses off to support a bunch of deadbeats who do nothing and sit around and get high and drink beer or whatever it is, it's slavery. And imagine the same thing, they look down and they see, yeah, they might see the racism thing. They might see brutal cops, but they'd also be objective and look and say, hey, what's wrong with these people? They commit crime and they hurt people and all this and everything, and then the people who are charged with protecting the community end up being the ones that are crucified. They would see a lot of backward stuff, don't you think? So I know there's a lot more unjust stuff you could say they would see and stuff with society that's unfair to all of us. But I'm just trying to make the point that some people need to, as you say, be real and look at everything. Check out Officer Tatum and Candace Owens, and you'll get some stats and other things and about police procedure and things like that. And then, like I say, my next ones will be about the rebuilding of America and environmental stuff. Cow farts. All right, wish you all the best out there. God bless. We'll see you on the next one.